Living my bucolic life, free of big city strife. Horses, chicks, and dogs, they are my neighbors. I cook and sew and spin, and move the horses into the barn. Then time to move them out again. Red barns, green pastures, beautiful white houses. The view I see each day when I arise. This life pleases me, as it is plain to see. I'm living my bucolic life.
Hello everybody, welcome back. So I've taken a month off to recharge. I needed it. I feel really good. And I'm excited about getting back into sewing with you. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to take a little detour from the garment sewing, at least for a while, and focus on sewing for some fabulous causes. To have a way to, keep using my creative sewing juices, I guess, but instead of just stockpiling more items for me, doing things for someone else who could really use it. So today I am going to be going down the road of doll making, and I've done a lot of clothes, I've done all kinds of crafts. I have not made dolls, so that's going to be really exciting. I'm using a pattern. It is a free pattern, and hang on, glasses on here. It is on a website called 𝐃𝐨𝐬𝐿ittleprojects.com. Okay, and you can go onto her website. She's actually designed this project specifically for the organization that we're going to be donating these to, so it all works out well. Free download, instructions on there, and I'm going to be following along. So before I get too into it, I'm going to introduce you to Terry of Enchanted Makeovers, which is, the organization's main title. They have several different projects. This is just one of their projects. We're probably going to be doing one more of their projects in another video. So let me cut to Terry, and then we'll be back and we'll get started making our doll.
Hi Marie, thank you so much for reaching out. Hello to everyone. My name is Terry 𝐥𝐤𝐤. I'm the founder and CEO of a national nonprofit called Enchanted Makeovers. We are based in Taylor, Michigan, but we support shelters not only locally but nationally. It began with a phone call in December of '06 asking if I would volunteer my time and paint one wall at a shelter for women and children. Many of the children and women are escaping human trafficking, domestic violence, and homeless female veterans. I visited the shelter in January of '07, and I had a tour of the whole facility, and the last stop was the women's dorm, where 30 women would stay for 1 year with their children. When I opened that big metal door, which the building was an old post office, and walked into that dorm, I saw duct tape on walls, and the babies' cribs had duct tape. The bunk beds were from a prison, bedspreads from a nursing home. Everything was broken, and I thought to myself, you have a great program, but your environment is working against your program. And I felt overwhelmed. I told the director that I don't know if I can do anything. So I took before pictures, I went home, and I went on with my life, to be honest. I just felt like, how can I do this? I have no volunteers. I don't have the money. And a week had passed, and in that moment, I knew that I needed to look at those before pictures. And the last photo was that bunk bed, stained mattress, and a polka dot pillow. And I've loved polka dots since I was a child. And in that moment, I heard, trust me. And I raised my right hand and said, I'll do it. And it's now 17 years, and we have several programs. One is transforming, the one sacred space is the bedrooms, and that's with murals and quilts, and we try our best to include handmade. Our next is our sacred sewing room, and that was because of my mother sharing one day how a sewing machine saved her life. And I knew we had to have permanent sewing rooms and shelters for women to learn a skill, but to be able to escape and express themselves, but learn a skill. Our next one is the Capes for Kids. Another one is the doll adoption, handmade dolls, and the pillowcase program. But we wouldn't be able to do this without people locally and nationally and internationally serving with their talent. So I'm so grateful, Marie, that you reached out, and I look forward to working with you and everyone that sees this video. Thank you.
So first of all, if you are interested in sewing a doll for enchanted makeovers, you absolutely do not have to use this pattern. But since it's available and it's free, that's what I am choosing to do. You can crochet a doll, knit a doll, use whatever doll pattern you have. However, let your creativity go. But I printed off a couple copies, in case I mess one up here. But, just go and make them as well as you can, as creative as you can, but there's no specific defined pattern or anything like that. If you're looking for this one on this website, there is a place you can search and just do a search for cloth doll, and it'll give you this pattern that you can come up to, okay? If not, I'll try to put a link in the description. The website for Enchanted Makeovers is different than the website for this. This is a crafter. Enchanted Makeovers is the charitable organization. Okay, two different things. So in the video clip, Terry gave you her website. I'm also going to put that in the description too, so you can find that later. Anyhow, the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and cut these pieces out, and you can see they are very basically shaped. Okay, so I've got them cut out. So of the head, I need 2 pieces, and of the dress one, I need 2, and of all of these, I need 4 of each. 4 leg pieces, 4 sleeve pieces, and 4 arm pieces, okay? So the sleeve and the dress are going to be made out of a garment fabric, a dress fabric, something bright and colorful. I'll find a calico or something for that. The head, the arm, and the leg are going to be made out of a flesh-colored fabric, she says. So when I was at Joann's, I found this. It's actually a knit. I think it's for doll making. The color was nude. I took a picture of the end of the bolt when I bought it, and this was a while ago. So I'm going to try to find that picture and show you, but it was at Joann's over with the costumey kind of knits actually. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these out of these pieces. Now, I was playing with this fabric earlier, not making the doll, but just playing with it, and this snagged when I was just using a regular needle. So I will need to use a ballpoint needle in my sewing machine when I'm using this. So just pointing that out, let me go ahead and get these cut out. I gotta tell you, I have barely gotten started and I'm already disliking this fabric. It's developing runs, like stocking runs, very easily. So I may switch gears and use a woven fabric or felt. I'm gonna go dig in my stash and see what I can find, at least for my very first doll. This feels really tricky. I got the head cut out, but it wanted to go everywhere. So let me switch gears, find a different fabric. Not saying that I'll never use this to make dolls, because it is lovely and it's a nice shade and everything. But for at least this first one, I'm gonna find something easier to manage. Okay, so I just tore about a 1/4 yard, a little less, of a piece of pre-washed muslin here. So I'm gonna cut my 2 head pieces. And then here is that fold. I'm going to bring it down here. And that way I can cut out 4 of my legs, 4 of my arms. This is laying so much more well behaved. I think that it'll be, at least for me, a lot more successful doing them with the muslin here. So I'm going to go ahead and get all of these cut out.
We encourage makers and crafters to make their favorite doll. Just share your heart, have fun. These dolls go to children in shelters nationwide that have escaped human trafficking and domestic violence. When they are shipped here, to our headquarters in Taylor, Michigan. They are then sent out to shelters nationwide. We have, you can see a little sample here. We have a crochet doll and we have a felt doll. He has his own little cape on. And some have named the dolls before they send them out, and they attach stories, but that's totally up to you. We want you just to have fun, and we hope that you support this program. Please check out the website. That's enchantedmakeovers.org, and I hope to hear from you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, so now that I have that cut out, I'm going to find a fabric that I can use for her main body dress and her little sleeve. Got some of this, which I think is incredibly happy. And so I'm going to go ahead and cut out 2 of these dress pieces, 4 of these sleeve pieces out of this cotton fabric. Okay, so here's my little dress and sleeves. I'm going to set that aside for right now and set these aside because we're going to start working on hair. So what she says is to take 1 of your head pieces, and you're going to need yarn to make hair. So I picked these up. I think they were like $1 a piece. They're just little crafty Happy Value yarns, and they all look like a different shade of hair. And who knows, I might make 1 of each. You never know. But today we are going with a rust color hair because why not? Now, what she says is you're going to need, you know, it's up to you how long your doll's hair is going to be. But if, let me fold this in half really quick and crease it. Okay. So that is kind of going to be where my part is. And I'm going to go ahead and draw that with my little heat erasable pen so we can see it. Okay, so that's going to be the back of my head, and that's the back part, okay? So whatever length you're going to want your hair to be, you know, if you want it to be so you can braid it and all nice and long or something, I think I might tend to go a little bit long, and then I can always trim it, you know? But you're going to need to cut it twice that long. So let's say I want it to be this long. All right, I'm going to need to double that right here. Okay, so that would mean the total length of my hair is this length, whatever arbitrary length you want it to be. All right, and then you're going to find about the middle of that hair and place the middle of the hair on the center line here. I'm thinking something that might make this easier for me is to use my sticky tape that I usually use for zippers. So I'm going to go grab some. So this is not in the instructions, this is just me, but this is water-soluble basting tape. Okay, so I'm going to pull out enough to lay right here. Put that on. Clip it down here. Okay, so this can get set aside. And then pull the backing paper off so I have a line of stickiness going down the back. Okay, so having this, if I use this piece as a guide, I'm just going to hold it up to my ruler way over here where you cannot see. This piece for me is 18 inches, okay? So I'm going to take about the middle of it. I'm going to start down here at the bottom and just place that center of it on my sticky tape, all right? So what I'm going to do now is cut a whole bunch of pieces of yarn, 18 inches long. You don't need to watch me do that. And then I'll be back and we will place them on here. Okay, so I've probably got, maybe about 8 of them here. I still have the loops at the bottom. I'll trim those later. So I'm finding that center point. Just kind of squish them together and press it. Okay, so if 8 of them barely covered an inch here, I've got several more to do. Okay, so this is the back of my head, full head of hair here. You can kind of see where that tape is. I think that was a good idea. I put a little mark at the top in that center and down here because I need to put some rust colored matching thread onto my machine, and I need to sew probably a couple rows of stitching over this part, so it's going to hold all of this thread down really securely. So let me go change the thread on my machine, and I'll take you over there to see how this is going to work. Okay, so I'm just over here using my 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐸 machine, which is just a big straight stitch machine, so you don't need anything fancy. If I can just get my tripod to hold position, hang on. Okay, so I'm just putting it down so that that little mark I made is going to land right here. And you know what? I think if I turn this light off, yeah, I think the camera will adjust. So since the tape is kind of holding it in place, and I can see where it's supposed to line up, like right there, I'm just going to kind of hold my hands here nice and flat and aim. Okay, let's do that again. Lift up that presser foot and arrange things. Okay, now I'm just going to lift the presser foot, flip everything around, and come back up pretty much on top of that first row. Like that. And I have a reasonably sized stitch here, so that is what my little part looks like. And I think that that's actually pretty good. I think that if you do this and you see that there's some gaps or something, that you can just add more thread on top of it and stitch over it. But right now that's looking, to me at this stage, you know, novice doll maker, that's looking pretty good. So this is a live and learn kind of experience. The first one is our guinea pig, and we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the table. Okay, so I just took a peek on the online instructions, and it looks like she only has hair like maybe here, and then it's like more neck showing below that. So, you know, I don't think that the world will come to an end because I didn't do that, but I'm just pointing that out. So if this is the back of the head, for the front of the head, I am going to choose a top. So I'm just going to, again, put a little line there, and with my pen I'm going to draw a little line up here, so that's going to be my center top. Now they say to make bangs or some kind of a swoopy hairdo, it looks like what they've done is on either side of the center front just arbitrarily pick a point where you're going to have your bangs, like about like that, and she just has them going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. What I'm going to do is pick my whitest place, which is like this, I think, and go ahead and create, oh, I don't know how many. We're going to say maybe about 8 little strands of yarn here. 1, 2, 3, 4, one more. Okay. And just to make my life easier, I'm going to go ahead and cut 2 pieces of my tape, and starting about 1/2 inch, oops, I need to move that a little bit, about 1/2 inch from this center point here, I have a little strip of tape like that. I'm going to do the same over here, and then peel that backing paper off. Okay, so I have my little double-sided tape right there, and I'm going to kind of find the middle here, flatten things out a bit, place it here, and kind of swoop it over so the ends are on that double-sided tape, like this. Okay. Because this is going to be a tiny little seam allowance up there. Okay, so now that that is done, if I want to, I can come in and clip these now. Honestly, I could wait until the next step to do it, but I've done it now, so there you go. I need to come back in, and at a pretty small seam allowance, I'm going to say within 1/4 inch from the edge, probably closer to 1/8 of an inch, just stitching over the yarns right here and over the yarns right here, pretty much on top of my basting tape. So I'm not going to take you back over there. You've seen that before. Let me go ahead and make those 2 stitching lines and I'll be right back. Okay, so there is my stitching up here and up here. Okay, that's held together. That's just little pieces of extra thread. So there's my head pieces. I'm going to set this aside for a minute. And what I need to do is grab my arm pieces and my sleeve pieces. Remember, I have 4 of each of these, and this arm, it's symmetrical. It's the same top and bottom, which makes life easier at this point, because what I need to do is take my 4 arms, put them here, okay, my 4 sleeves, match the tops here, okay, and I'm going to stitch across my sleeve arm seam. I'm going to be using about a 1/4 inch seam allowance, okay, stitching straight across here on all 4 little pieces. So let me run over and do that. For some reason some of my sleeve pieces are not looking really square, and I'm not too sure why. I think I may have to recut these 2. I don't know. But that's what I'm going to do, stitching across there, and then I'm probably going to iron them, press them. I'll tell you in a moment. All right, I got them all sewed. I just kind of did them one straight after another, so I'm just going to go ahead and clip them apart here. And I am going to press it so that the seam allowances are going up underneath the sleeve, because that way if I have a bright colored sleeve and a light colored fabric for the arm like I do here, that's not going to show through right there. So give me a moment to get all of these pressed up like that, and I'll meet you back at the table. Okay, so now that I have these done, I need to make 2 arms. So I'm going to put them, 2 sets of them, right sides together. And why that one is crooked? Well, we can make it work. I think as long as I make sure that my little seam line here is matched up, everything will work out. But I need to stitch these around. And again, I'm going to use my very small, about a 1/4 inch seam allowance, okay? Leave this part up here open, just come all the way down and around on both of the arms. Okay, so with that done, I need to flip my little arms right side out. Just gonna try to poke it in there. So this one is poked right side out. I'll do the same thing with the other one. Once they're done, they say press them and then stuff them with stuffing. Well, I already pressed this part, and I think that that's the most important part. So I'm going to go ahead and get my stuffing, my polyfill, and use that. So I got a big old bag here because I plan on doing, hopefully, at least a few dolls and have some left over. So I'm going to go ahead and punch some polyfill in here. Use my chopstick. Push it in. And I want it to be, firm, fairly firm. Now, on the instructions, it says leave an inch or so not stuffed at the top. So I'm thinking that's about half of the sleeve I'm going to leave unstuffed. But, oh my gosh, look at that little rat nest under there. That's not important, it will be hidden. So I'm just going to keep pushing it, and I'm making them fairly firm, you know, because this stuff can get squished down flatter with much love, and these girls need something to hug. So, all right. So let me go ahead and get the other little arms stuffed up just like this one. Okay, so now the instructions say do the same thing with the legs. So I'm just gonna open these up into 2 pairs. And the legs are gonna, in the instructions, they kind of set off to the side, you know, so she's standing like second position, I guess, or whatever ballerinas do. I need to leave the tops open, come down here, sew all the way around and back up, okay? Let me go ahead and do that, and I'll show you how I'm going to clip them and turn them. Okay, so I've got my stitching in, and then up here where this little inside corner is, I want to make sure I put a little clip, or actually I put 2 little clips there, so that's going to curve. I'm not worried too much about this because that's a very tiny seam allowance. So now let me take my time and flip the whole thing right side out. Okay, so there's my little toe. And it says to go ahead and stuff them the same way, I believe, so that we leave about 1 inch or so at the top. Yes. So let me go ahead and get both of these stuffed and turned and ready to go. Okay, so I've got my 2 legs, these. Now I need to sew my head pieces to my dress pieces, and this might be an issue because I did sew my hair on a little low, but you know what? I'll deal with that one second. I'm going to do with my front one first. So, okay, this smaller part up here of the dress, I'm going to line it up. This is my center point here. I'm just going to draw that so I can see it down here. I want to make the center of my dress, which is right there. Okay, line that up, and I need to sew it so that pretty much I can sew, oopsie, straight across. So if you can see, let me see if I can get you in a little bit closer here. I do have some of her little round head peeking out here. And what they say on the instructions is after you sew it, you can clip it off, all right? But that is lined up centered here. So I'm going to sew straight across here, you know, at the 1/4 inch seam allowance from the dress part like that. All right, welcome back. It's actually been a couple days. I had to take care of some other things, and I want to get these stitched on. So I have my little dress part pinned to one head, this pinned to the other, okay? And just to make sure I end up with them so that they will match front to back, I'm lining up these circles here so that my circles are one right on top of each other. And I am going to draw a line at the point where the edge of my dress fabric is matching up with a little circle. So just looking at this top one, it looks like, honestly, about a 5/8 inch from the widest point down here. Okay, so I'm just going to draw that there, flip it over, and 5/8 of an inch in on this side, draw the same line. And hopefully that way, when I have to match these two up together, they're going to be the same size. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch straight across there. Okay, so this is my back, and I just kind of trimmed the loops out of my hair, you know, like that. Now, on the instructions, like I said earlier, they stopped their hairline about here, so they have more neck showing. I don't, but I don't think that's the end of the world here. I kind of like the hair going all the way down, but that's just me. I just threw my other one on the floor here. Okay, so this is my front piece with her little bangs right here. So what I need to do is get my arm pieces, And I'm going to sew them onto my back body. And they say to put them near the top. So you know what, just to make my life easier, I'm going to go ahead while these are separate and just go straight across the edge just to hold them together flat like that. And then I'll be right back. Okay, so here they are. On the instructions, they say to pin them on, see, I need to do it this way, up near the top. Okay, so I'm leaving it connected here so I can see where that fold line is. And I'm going to pin this one right here. Well, that's going to be tricky. Let's use a clip. Clip that there. And, well, I can't do this one because it'll get in the way. I'm going to sew it at about a 1/4 inch seam allowance straight down here so it can flop open like that. And the same one here. In the instructions, they say either straight out or slightly angled. It's your own choice. I don't think that it makes a difference because they're going to kind of want to droop a little bit with gravity anyway. So let me go ahead and get both of those sewn onto my back piece. All right, so this is what she's looking like right now. Now we're going to sew the front to the back. So before I do that, I'm going to try to contain all of this hair so it does not get caught in anything here because, you know, I don't want her hair caught in that seam. So I'm just kind of scotch taping it down. I don't know if that's the most appropriate thing because I've never made dolls before, but it sounds like it's going to work for me. Okay, and then I have to turn my little arms in, so it's going to be kind of thick right here. I need to match up the center top of my heads first, up here where I had that little line drawn, and then I'm going to come down and match up this seam where the neck and body join on this side. And do the same thing over here. Lots of thickness there. We do love a girl with big red hair, you know? Okay. Here we go. Put another one here. All right. And then I can come back and pin halfway on her little round head. And over here. That. Tuck this arm inside, and I'm going to pin it down here at the bottom. We're only going to the bottom, and there's this little curve down here at the bottom part, and I'm going to try to stop just before I get to that curve, I'm guessing. So kind of where this pin is, okay. So now I have that. I'm going to straighten everything out in between. Oh, so much thickness right there. I may have to sew it one side at a time. I'm not too sure. We'll see how this goes. Okay, and I'm saying that because if I leave this side open, all of this hair and stuff can kind of pooch out there and I can get a better thing here. So I might do that. So just like from at least just beyond where the bangs are, all the way down here, those pins will be gone, and then I think I can come in and kind of shove all this stuff over. So let me do that first. Okay, so let me see if I can get you in here. I'm not really happy with the stitching line. You can see how this whole thing kind of smushed in because this is the side I was looking at. So I think I'm going to have to unpick this and move that little corner up, you know, just because these things happen. But once I get that done and re-sew this little part there where it's messed up, then I think I can smush all of this over here and sew that same seam from this point down to there, okay? Okay, so this corner went a little bit better. I'm thinking it's better to look at sewing it while you're looking at the back side, because then I could see where my little stitching line is that I attached my arm with. Just my thought. So I need to clip up here so that that little neck angle is going to be able to turn well, like that. I'm not too worried about this. I think that that's going to be just fine. So let me go ahead and turn her right side out now. Whee! Pull her Scotch tape off. Sorry, dear, that looks painful. Okay. Pulling her little head out. All right. All right, let me look at the instructions and see what they have next for us. Okay, in the instructions, they don't say to stuff it, but the picture shows a stuffed doll, so that's what we're going to do, because we need her to be nice and full here. So I'm just going to start with my, polyfill, inserting it in here and pushing it all up till she has a nice round head and body, and then after that, we'll sew the legs on. Okay, she's turning out really cute here. She's nice and plump. I put a lot in her neck because I don't want her head to get floppy, with use. And now this is still open down here, and they're saying to sew on the legs, and she has them like this. I'm actually going to turn them like this. So I just want the toes to face forwards. When I was a baby, my legs were not in the right direction. I had to wear braces, and I turned out okay, but let's give her every opportunity for success. So instead of sewing my legs closed this way, I'm going to put that seam in the middle like that and sew them closed straight across right at the top. And then that way it's easier just to insert them. Okay, so here's my little legs, flat that way. And I'm just going to, you can see, this is the back here, turn up the back just a bit, like a 1/4 inch. Turned up. Oh my goodness, you can't see that. Actually, this is turning out to be a pain, so I'm going to do it differently. What I'm going to do is similar to what I did with the arms, where I'm going to go ahead and sew my legs onto the back piece with the machine while it's still open this way. So I want to make sure I have my legs so that the finished look is going to be the legs going forward, not backwards, okay? So there you go, my toes are pointing the right direction. This is her back. So if I flip it up and the toes are pointing straight up, that will work. And in that way, I can match this up carefully, Here, again, a fat 1/2 inch there, probably closer to 5/8 or whatever. It's her legs, she can move them, so you be the judge. I'm going to pin this one here, and then, by hand, by machine, your choice, I'm going to go over to the machine and just sew over the same little seam line where I closed up the legs and attach it to the back of the dress. Okay, so it worked. She's got her legs attached now. You had to kind of hold her straight up and work it around, and which was a little bit of a pain. It might be easier to sew these legs on before she's stuffed. Just putting that out there. I think I'll do that next time. Sew the legs on, because you have to sew the legs on after, this stuff. But before you stuff it, you'll probably be able to be a little more flexible. So now that these legs are on, and I can turn them this way, it's going to be a lot easier to match the front up, because I'm not trying to worry about making sure the back is exact. So now just pin it to that seam line, or just beyond that seam line I just made, tuck everything in, and then I can hand stitch it. Yeah, that's my plan. I can say anything about, this whole process, what I'd like to focus on is trying to keep, my whole energy when I'm creating this, one of love and of compassion and of, thinking of the child who's going to receive this, and just trying to fill this doll with all of the little comforting love that I hope that it's going to help the little child to feel. If you're feeling like you're getting really frustrated while making it, step away. Step away and wait till you can come back and just take it peacefully. And, we want this to be 100% a joyful experience for the giver and the receiver, in my opinion. So it's not so much, the desire to mass produce, 10 of them or something like that, in my opinion, but to focus on the quality and the joy and the love that you can put into it. Okay, because it's kind of like food, when you cook angry, the food can make you sick. It's that type of thing I'm thinking. So that's all I have to say about that. I am almost done just stitching across, and you can see they're just little whip stitches, but I wanted to do it with the wax thread and everything to make sure it was going to hold nice and strong. Okay, her legs are on. She's adorable, but we need to do something with this hair. So what I'm going to do, they're going to go into little pigtails. I'm going to cut a couple pieces of a matching yarn that I can use just to secure them where I want them to be. And then I can always put a decorative little bow on top of that. Okay, so let me make sure I've got her part on here correctly. Pull everything to the right side. Okay. So, making sure this is nice and straight. I almost want to comb it. Okay, so I'm going to want it so that the back of her head still has hair. So I may have to do a couple little placings. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get another piece of my tape, my basting tape. Enough to put just across the top here, I'm thinking, like so. So that when I get the hairs where I want, I can just press them on while I'm getting their final position put together. So let me go ahead, put that on, pull off the paper, and then we can place the hairs. For some reason my tape is not wanting to stick, so I'm just securing it at the top and the bottom with my little pins. So let's see here. I think I'm going to start in the middle. Pull that way. That way, just work with one little section at a time and bring it straight over and kind of push it down over that tape right here. So it's going to kind of want to hold. And just kind of keep going. And that way, I think I can get it so it's pretty even and I have good coverage, Okay, that's actually working pretty good. So you can see her hair is kind of staying where I want it to. And then I can come forward and put a little ponytail right here. If I flip her around, I'm going to put a nice little low ponytail, I think. Right here. So let me get one of my strings. Tie that. Okay, let me pull these pins out now. And I guess I could stitch these individual little hairs so that they would stay in that position, but I'm not too sure if I want to. I might play with this a little bit. Let me play with her hair and I'll show you what I come up with. Okay, so I ended up going with higher ponytails and I think they're pretty cute. So what I'm going to do is get some matching yarn or matching thread to the hair here, and I'm going to be stitching where these ponytail ties are. I'm going to try to invisibly stitch that to the little side of the doll head so that those ties aren't going to come off and she'll stay in her cute little self. If her future mommy wants to take her ponytails out and restyle it, she can do that, you know, it's nothing set in stone, but having the little ponytails secured should keep her looking lovely, at least in transport, you know. So let me go ahead and get that stitched on. Okay, so here she is, fairly complete. The instructions say now just paint a pretty face on her. And I don't trust my freehand face painting skills, so I'm going to go online and see if I can find a little example that I can use to pattern my little doll face off of. All right, I've decided I'm going to go with simple. So I'm going to draw it on with my heat erasable pen first, and then I can come back and make it more permanent. But that way, if I make a mistake, I can just iron it and it's going to erase. So I want to make sure I know where the center of her face is and put her eyes, you know, about halfway. Oh my goodness, that pen is out of ink. Let me grab a different one. I'm just going to give her a circle. And a little eyebrow. Happy eyebrow. And in the center, a little button nose. And a little smiley face. Well, I think that's cheerful. And then maybe a little bit more eyebrow, just for funsies. If I wanted to, I could see how a few lashes would look. And if not, I don't have to put them, but that's kind of cute, you know? I think that'll work. I'm going to take a scrap of my muslin and my paint and practice on my little scrap to make sure it's the right consistency, because I don't want it too watery and have it bleed everywhere, you know? That would be bad at this point. So let me do that. Get to my little scrap here, test out my paint, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm running low on colors here. I need to go paint shopping, so I just kind of mix some stuff up. This grayish color is probably going to be the, you know, nose and everything. And I think it's going to stay in place pretty good. And I think that that's good. So, wish me luck. I am going to start down here. I'm debating if I'm doing her mouth in red or not. I think I'm just going to go with this. Okay, so now that that is painted, I'm just putting a little bit of a rosy lipstick, and we're going to give her some cheeks. A little rosy cheek, and a little rosy cheek over here. think that she's looking very cute. I can see one thing here on her hairline up here at the top. This side kind of wants to go back, so I'm probably going to come back with that matching thread and just kind of secure a few pieces up here so it's not going to want to pull back too much, kind of like right at this position where the bangs go into it. So I think that if anything, it'll look like a barrette, you know? So that's my plan. But before I do that, while I still have my paint out, I'm going to paint some little slippers on her feet. She is getting green shoes. I kind of outlined it with that darker color I used up on her face and just filling it in with a happy little green. Okay, so, and I am not diluting. This is just that craft kind of acrylic paint. I'm not diluting it at all. It's just, and I'm using a dry brush. I have not even dipped my brush into the water at this point, just because I didn't want any moisture in there. Just to be safe, you know, didn't want any bleed through, so there you go. Let me get this shoe painted, get her little barrettes put in up here, and then we'll see if there's anything else to do for her. Okay, so I've got her little barrettes in, and instead of bows, I have a bunch of this trim with the little ribbon roses on it that I haven't more used. So I'm just going to cut off a couple. It's on this organza kind of ribbon, and I'm folding it in. I'm going to wrap that around here and just stitch that on. And I think that that's going to be really cute with a little ribbon flower right next to her little ponytails like that. Okay, so here she is, her little barrette tacks to keep her little hair towards the front, her little cutie pie bows. I think she's adorable, and she's actually really squishy and huggable, and I think that's perfect. I'm going to leave her hair a little bit slightly disheveled on the bottom. I think I like that better than just a blunt cut. I mean, you can go as detailed as you want. You can do more detailed hands if you want, different feet. You can make a little outfit that she could put on top of this and everything. But, you know, using that free pattern, and I'll throw the website up here again, I think that she's adorable, and I think that this will be perfect. So I'm probably going to make a few more of these before the month is up so I can get them sent off. But this is an extremely worthwhile organization, Enchanted Makeovers. I'm going to put up the address where you can send them to, their website, their social media contacts, anything you can do to help, you know, with a good cause like this. I think it's going to be a good thing to take part in, and you'll feel great about it. And look, it didn't take much fabric. This is the type of fabric project that's honestly a stash buster, if you want to think of it that way. But it's an adorable little stash buster, and if it's going to bring some joy and comfort to a child who, you know, might have been in an abusive situation, in a trafficking situation or something like that, and you can make them have something that they can hold on to and hug, more the better, you know. So anyhow, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for learning about Enchanted Makeovers with me. And like I said, they do have several different projects, and I'm going to do one more project of theirs next time. But this little doll, for my first little doll, I think she turned out adorable. I know the next one will go easier because the second always does. So if you do make them and send them to me, please let me know. I'm very curious to see everything that everybody makes and what they send in and everything. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Living my bucolic life, reality city strife. Horses, chicks, and dogs, they are my neighbors. I cook and sew and spin, and move the horses into the barn. Then time to move them out again. Red barns, green pastures, beautiful white houses. The view I see each day when I arise. This life pleases me, as it is plain to see. I'm living My Bucolic Life.